What's something you're willing to admit to the people here on Reddit but not to most people in real life?
In 4th grade, it was pizza day at lunch. I wanted an extra slice of pizza but didn't have an extra lunch chip. If you had one of those, you'd put it in a bowl and you get a second helping. I pretended to put a chip in with convincing sleight of hand. The lunch lady was fooled and gave me that extra slice. As I'm eating my pizza, one of the lunch ladies yelled, "Who took extra lunch without a chip?" I said nothing. I've never admitted that to a soul. Until now.
That I'm constantly at a loss for words. Literally. I feel like those around me are smarter than I am. I struggle to get my words out, although I have clear and concise thoughts in my brain. I just can't articulate them into meaningful sentences that keep people interested in listening. Much like the way I feel about this post. My words feel meaningless.
My eldest son is a hardcore heroin and meth addict.
I am a 45-year-old wife and mother with very well-paying job. Typical middle-class everyday type of woman. I have to suck my thumb to fall asleep at night.
I'm starting to question my career choice in healthcare.
How much I think about the one who got away. Mostly because it was so long ago that it's pretty sad lol.
I fantasize a lot. At least half the day I'm in my head in the middle of some glamorous scenario that I'll never be in.
It's almost certain that I'm gonna die fairly young, way before most of my family members, and it scares the living beep out of me. And breaks my heart simultaneously. I know how I would feel if I had to experience one of my siblings or a parent dying, and hope I never have to experience that, and I hate that they're all going to have to feel that feeling when I die first. Even though I'm the youngest. And holy beep beep, am I scared of death. Beep cancer man. Edit. Wow, holy cow, thank you all for the likes and awards. I didn't expect this at all. Holy beep, I just want to explain a little bit more. I am a 3x stage 4 blood cancer survivor. Hodgkin's. Got diagnosed at 17 and am 23 now. My cancer was incredibly aggressive. They genuinely did not think I was going to make it. I'm ecstatic to say that I am technically in remission. They think they're not 100% sure right now due to some weird things in my lungs, but they're thinking my most recent bone marrow transplant is working. I am incredibly lucky to be alive, and insanely grateful that I am. My brother's bone marrow bought me some extra time, and time is the most valuable thing on earth to me. The part that is tricky about it all, though, is that I have an insanely high risk of developing several either terminal or potentially terminal issues later on. I've had many different kinds of chemo, I'm guessing around 15? Some being extremely toxic. I have had around 31 rounds of radiation, one of those being TBI, countless surgeries, 2 transplants, countless scans and x-rays and etc. etc. My doctors say it's basically not an issue of if I develop secondary cancers from my treatment. These would include ones like leukemia, breast, etc. It's when. Not to mention the chances of my primary cancer returning. My heart health is already starting to decline, as is pretty much every single other part of my body and internal organs, 2 of which I've already had removed due to treatment. One specific treatment I had caused me to develop an incredibly painful bone disease called avascular necrosis, bone death, which is incurable. I have had 1 joint replacement, and need 7 more at the moment. It is in most of my major joints in my limbs, especially my legs, and it is now spreading to my ribs. I have a few other conditions affecting my legs as well, which makes it so I have to use a wheelchair as often as possible, which ends up being around 80% of the time. Which honestly, I don't mind. I love my chair, it makes the pain somewhat better. But the severe chronic pain and my reliance on a wheelchair makes me pretty sedentary, which doesn't help my body. I cherish every single second of every day that I wake up somewhat healthy. I even cherish the days where I'm not very healthy at all, even if sometimes I wish the pain would just beep stop. My chances of living until the age of 30 is really not great. My chances of living till 40 is slim to none. It's a very heavy burden to hold, and all of this combined with my severe anxiety doesn't help. Thank you all for the kind comments, and those who can relate in any way. I love you and I see you and I understand. I was just venting honestly, I really do enjoy life. And I plan to continue enjoying life, especially by spending time with my family, until it's my time to go. I just really hope, by some miracle, it's a whole lot later than what my doctors predict.
One time on vacation, I was hiding in a closet that didn't have a door and my unsuspecting husband was getting ready to walk by. I jumped out at him and scared him harder than ever before. He literally beat his pants. We silently agreed that we would never discuss it, but man, every time someone says you scare the beep out of me, my butthole puckers a little cause I want to say something so bad. TLDR, I actually scared the beep out of someone, and as long as I love this man, I can never talk about it. Not even with him.
This thread is an excellent reminder that no matter how messy you think your life is, nobody really has their beep together.
I want to get married. It's my deepest wish, but when the subject comes up, my romantic and childhood insecurities take over, and I speak ill of marriage.
I don't think I experience compassion or empathy like other people, but I'm too scared to ask if that's normal.
I feel like the most boring person in the world. I can see why I've lost all my old friends and can't keep any new ones. Also, I'm really bad at maintaining relationships. I'm pretty happy, but I'd be all alone after my parents are gone.
I'm pregnant. But I've lost 3 babies already, so I'm really scared about telling people this time.
I completely beep up my relationship. I was hurting her so bad, and I didn't even realize at the time. It kills me to realize now how bad of a person I am.
I think I never got over being in love with my best friend I had as a teenager, and 10 years after the last time we talked I still have sex dreams or think of him when I get turned on. It is the most bizarre and unbreakable thing.
I can't tell anyone anything that's going on, and I know I need to, but I just physically can't make myself express my problems.
I'm not okay, nor have I been for years now. There are days I just want to end this life, and there are days full of hope, but mostly an ever-pressing weight of existential dread, or meaninglessness. Edit. I appreciate the responses, and be assured that I'd never put those I love through that much pain. Those types of thoughts, feelings are irrefutable when they come, but luckily I don't feel compelled to entertain them. Can't beat the wave, gotta beat the surfer.
I'm a teacher, but I don't actually believe in the American education system. We know that other countries are doing it better but refuse to change our ways. We keep teaching for test scores even though research shows that's not a good measure of a child's learning. I go to so many bogus meetings where the same rhetoric is spewed over and over and everyone claps and gasps and acts like it's life-altering information when we're really just hearing another twist on a concept from the 1990s. I'm so tired of it because I really do care about the kids and how they learn, but I'm forced to comply with district DOE standards even though I know they don't work.
I've been unemployed for almost 3 years and I feel like such a beep failure. I'm so close to being out of savings and I can't get a single interview.
That I'm afraid of losing my looks as I get older. It's the most regressive, immature, and self-absorbed attitude to have, but I still worry about it. Every new wrinkle, every sag or droop just unnerves me way more than it should. I hate that so much of my self-worth is tied to my appearance.
I'm a 45-year-old virgin.
I'm 37 and haven't had a relationship last more than a couple of months. I know it's on me, but it still makes it hard. And now I'm talking to someone I really like and I don't want to beep it up, but I'm afraid that's what is going to happen. Brains are such assholes.
Considering how easily my Reddit account can be linked to my real life, nothing.
That I'm still in love with my friend despite him thinking otherwise.
The pandemic has been horribly depressing and upended almost everything in my life. I'm having trouble getting my beep together, but I feel like everyone around me is just moving on. It's really confusing and isolating. I know I'm fortunate not to have lost anyone close, but I can almost feel the suffering in the air. It's like a cloud over everything.
Over the last 6 or 7 weeks I've spent over $200 on Beanie Babies.
That I have the urge to pack my bags, walk out of my parents' house at night and start a new life and leave the old one behind. Edit. I did it. I had a plan, but it worked. Left my loved ones a letter, and now I'm planning my new life away from the toxic one I left behind.
That I couldn't care less if I died tomorrow.
I'd rather be alone than with anyone. Can't say this to people, they take it personally for some beep reason.
I have generalized anxiety disorder, and it's gotten worse especially since the brutal lockdowns we had. It's impacting my work life, but I don't want to make my employer aware of my condition.
I don't think anyone will read this, but I've sucked a penis.
I'm fat and getting fatter. I know what I need to do, lose weight, but I just can't bring myself to do it. It's getting to the point that I can feel how unhealthy it is. I feel disgusting and know it's going to cause major problems, but I still can't do anything about it. Edit. Thank you all so much for the support. Like I mentioned, I know what I need to do, it's just doing it that's the hard part. Much love, y'all.
The extent of my mental health problems. I make jokes in real life about feeling anxious and depressed, but I downplayed it a lot to something everyone experienced. For almost an entire year I masked my severe depressive episode. I'm completely honest on Reddit about the dark place I was in. I felt ashamed in real life. Something I would never tell my friends if they were in the same situation. And I'm a psychologist.
I learned not long ago that I was my late grandfather's favorite grandson. But until that time really didn't think a lot about him. To the point where I thought that him dying the first was the best case scenario. Now I'm just trying to find him again in my memories and I feel like a pure asshole.
I'm alone enough to create my own relationship in my mind because of self-esteem and insecurity problems.
I think I suffer from pelvic floor dysfunction, which causes me to have painful urination and ejaculation, penile pain and bowel issues. What sucks most about it though is that I'm only 17. It has affected me mentally for a few years, but I'm trying to treat it. Only my family knows what I suffer through, my friends only have an idea of what I go through. Also, I had a prostate exam at 16. No one besides my parents and brother will know about that in my life. Edit. Hello everyone. I didn't expect this to blow up lol. Anyways, I didn't really go into too much detail of what I have had done since these issues started when I was 14. I have gone to multiple urologists for almost 3 years, I had a prostate exam like I mentioned before, and I have had a ureteroscopy. They have found nothing, which is what lead me to believe it is a pelvic floor issue. I'm seeing a urologist about it tomorrow and I'm going to explain my issues. Thank you everyone for showing support. I appreciate it. Smiley face.
I regret choosing law enforcement as my career. I investigate sexual assaults for a majority of my cases and I'm getting tired of dealing with the emotional burden that comes with sitting through hours of victim interviews. Edit. Thank you for all the kind comments. Regardless of how I feel, I will continue to give 100% at my job until I change careers because the people I help every day deserve it.
I didn't pronounce the G in harbinger with the J sound. I rhymed it with ringer.
My car wasn't pushed into the car in front on me when I got rear-ended. My foot got shifted to the accelerator from the force of being hit.
I lie. Like a lot. Never with malicious intentions though. I think it stems from this deep-rooted insecurity of being boring. I'll lie about everything from friends to grades. Once I made up a whole story about how I visited Bali just to seem interesting in a conversation I was having with a friend.
That I'm jealous of my sister since I was a child, and still is as 27. Where she pretty much had an easy life in every aspect of it, I pretty much always struggled in it. In high school, she was the girl that every guy wanted and every girl wanted to be, when I was the weird loner dining alone. Every guy falls in love with her and she has a great love life, while I never have been in a relationship, and has never been the first choice of anyone. She has a great circle of old and new friends, whereas I struggle to keep one. She got a great job landing on her lap with a mediocre degree after college when I struggled to find one for 10 months. And she got promotions handed to her while my managers ignore me, and I still struggle to find another job in my field of studies. Also, she's an amazing person. Confident, funny, smart, strong-headed, but still capable of admitting her faults. While I'm a ball of anxiety and constant worries, who can be sharp and grumpy easily when I'm not on my best day. She's lovable when I can struggle with that. Sometimes I worry that, if I do find a boyfriend, they will meet my sister and just know they are with the least interesting one. But I love her, we are really close, and I always ensure that I don't grow resentment towards something we both can't control. The difference between us is just so damn clear.
I'm bisexual. My parents would disown me if they found out, as would most people I know. My girlfriend is pretty much the only one who knows.
I do not like Joe Rogan or his podcast.
I have a stash of powdered Taco Bell lava sauce.
That I use Reddit.
I hate people.
May your day be filled with joy and happiness. And please remember to subscribe to Upvote for the best quality content every day.